Hey, what's going on, Suns fans? Sweet 16. 16 in a row. Let's go. Let's go. 16 in a row for the Phoenix Suns as they have now defeated the Brooklyn Nets. Matthew. Let's see if I can bring him in here. Just using simply my phone. Let's see. Add to stream. There you go. Matthew, let's
Hey,
go.
hey,
Let's go.
let's go. Let's go. Hey, you know what? I did hit on 16 today, playing some roulette, won $46 and lost it all. So it was meant to be, right, John? 16
Yeah.
in a row against the
16, dude.
Nuts. A stunning victory. A
On
victory
the
where
road.
they led by 20 plus this game. The Nets tried their best. The refs tried their best to help the Nets out towards the end, but it didn't matter. Suns still win, man.
Suns still win. An unbelievably epic run that they've been on. The team is now 17-3. And as you can see, the Suns Jam Session podcast is coming to you live from Las Vegas, Nevada.
Yes.
Again, this isn't probably going to be the longest podcast ever, where you got some more hanging out with Ashley to do for her 21st birthday. But we did want to, let you know that we watched the game at, what's the name of this place? Hennessy's Tavern up here on Fremont Street.
Yes.
Watch the game, watch the Suns dominate the Nets, and then, looked like they were going to come back at the back end of the game. As you mentioned, the refs were calling some questionable calls, to say the
A little
least.
bit.
But at the same time, the Suns again persevered and now have won 16 in a row. Let's go, Matthew.
Let's go. And like the Nets, they're down too much. They're not the team right now that can come back from a 20-point deficit, especially against the Suns team right now that's just rolling, man. They're hitting on all cylinders. They're doing what they need to do. I don't know what to say, man. It's an exciting moment right now in Phoenix.
Yes, it's very surreal to just see this team play the way that they do. So we're going to talk a little bit about the game here. This is just a reminder to everybody. Make sure that you subscribe, rate, and review if you're listening to this podcast. If you're watching along live, hit that thumbs up button down below. We truly appreciate it. Make sure you let all of your fellow Suns fans know where to find the best Phoenix Suns content. You can follow me at Darth Voida. You can follow Matthew.
At Matthew Lissy.
And you can follow the show at Suns Jam. So I actually left my beer inside of the the bar. I stepped outside.
Yeah.
So
I do have mine.
Matthew, there you go. You got yours. So cheers, Suns fans. Here's the 16 in a row. Let's go. So yes, it is sweet 16 in a row for your Phoenix Suns after they go to Brooklyn and defeat the Nets by a final score of 113-107. They have now completed another road trip undefeated. I believe they are now 9-1 on the season on the road. This team just looks unstoppable right now, Matthew. I mean, I know that, again, no team is going to end up the season going 79-3, but this team just looks so good, so complete. And when you see Kevin Durant put up 37 against you, you think you're going to end up losing that game. That wasn't the case tonight, brother.
No, yeah, if you look at the box score after, you're like, Kevin Durant 37, it's the Suns lost. But then you look at what the Suns do. And we don't score 37 points. We play as a team. We get it done in the end because defense. Defense means Mikal Bridges. Look at those steals. 6 steals in the first half for him.
Jesus
and
Christ.
a lot of it's really those tip balls. He is getting his hands on things. So in the past, Mikal Bridges has spent a lot of time really focusing on getting the ball away from the defender, mid dribble, or maybe just trying to steal a pass. But getting his hands up, having eyes in the back of his head, this is helping him get those steal numbers up. Chris Paul must be rubbing off on him in the right way, just like the rest of his team, because that's really what's helping them at the beginning of these games. Because when you look at the score early, you don't expect the Suns to be up 20 points against the Nets, but they are. They just are. And I'm like, wait, is Kevin Durant playing this game? Yes, he is. Like, they're at full strength. It doesn't matter because the Suns team is right now the most elite team right now in the NBA.
Well, I think there's some Golden State fans that might want to argue with you about that, but guess what? We get to play them on Tuesday, so we get to settle some of those conversations. But again, you mentioned it, and we've mentioned it numerous times on this podcast throughout the time in which that we've been doing this season, and this is just a complete team in every aspect of the word. Monty's got that 9-man rotation down He's got them playing solid, and even going on the road against the Nets, who look really good in those uniforms. I'm not going to lie; those are some
Yeah,
pretty good-looking uniforms that the
yeah,
Nets are rocking. I like how they have kind of the old 1990 Nets-looking jerseys, and then the court itself looks like the Jason Kidd era. I mean, they really did a
yeah.
good job of paying homage to those teams. But you have James Harden having a hard time. I mean, he last I saw, and I know that this metric changed, but he was like 2 for 11 from the field at one point in this game. James Harden has not rounded into shape, if you will, thus far this season. Kevin Durant is still a monster, but they don't have all of the pieces like the Phoenix Suns do, at least right now, to play productive against a team like the Phoenix Suns. Again, the Nets are the number one team in the Eastern Conference right now. They are now 14-6. The Suns just sitting there at 17-3. Man, it's beautiful.
Yeah, and honestly, the way that the Nets are trying to, well, mainly Harden, adjust to the new NBA rules and the fouls called, it's difficult for him because that's where he got all his points, right? So when he's driving to the lane, he's looking for contact, but hey, it's not there. Straight up and down. If you want to drive, go ahead, Harden. Try your best because a lot of the times when he used to drive, he just used to draw the foul. Did not worry if the ball went in, but right now he's trying to make the ball go in the paint. It's not working out for him. And it's a lot of it's just ISO ball. Him and KD. When KD has the ball, ISO ball. And there was a few times late in the game too where Booker and Chris Paul had the ball, and they dribbled the clock down, which is good. But then also they would just make sure that there was no time left, and they kind of put up a crappy shot. Like, oh, that's not Suns ball. Next possession, back to Suns ball, moving the ball around, giving it to DA in the paint, doing what you got to do to really get the wins. Because I mean, DA when he has a size advantage like he does in the paint right now, against this Nets team, just give them the ball. And they did towards the end, so that was awesome to see.
Yeah, you mentioned it. There were a couple of possessions at the back end of the game where, when you look at this final score and you see Suns 113, Nets 107, you're like, oh, this was a close game. The Suns probably gutted it out in the last 5 minutes as per usual. This wasn't a close game for the majority of the game. I mean, the Suns were up 20 for a long time in this game. And
Yeah,
as the Nets started to put some possessions together at the back end of this game, the Phoenix Suns actually kind of went to some of that isolation ball, which I thought was detrimental. And you and I were watching the game talking about that. It's like, hey, this isn't obviously the best way for Phoenix to execute this offense right now because they were holding it for 20 seconds before they were initiating any kind of offense. And that offense was from the one player who held the ball, whether it be Chris Paul or Devin Booker, for that entire possession. And that's something that we talked about literally last night on the last podcast, I think. I don't remember much of that
I don't
podcast.
remember. I don't remember the last 10 minutes. Too many car bombs, right?
Yeah, Irish car bombs. Woo, having a good old time. But again, that's something that we made that observation last night that they do a really good job in those last 5 minutes by ensuring that they're not going to isolation ball, that they're utilizing all of the skill sets that all of the players have on this team to execute that offense. Just not what we saw tonight. Now again, DeAndre Ayton, I thought that was really a telling moment where late in the game, where the Suns needed a bucket, they called a timeout. Monty did a great job of calling that timeout. What did they do? It was a play inside to DeAndre Ayton. Love to see that. Love to see that.
And they were calling for Monty to be jam star of the game. Tonight he actually called a good timeout early. I mean, late in the second when the Nets got down by 16, and I was like, oh, that's a good timeout call. But the Nets actually brought it back down to 10 by halftime. But he did what he had to do to try to stop the momentum. It's just the Nets team like this, they're going to go on runs. They're going to make it hard for the opposing team, which is the Suns tonight. But you expect that. And honestly, if it's a game against a lesser team like we've had in the past, these teams will fight the Suns to the death. And the Nets, they just don't have them in them like a little scrappy team like a Memphis team or something like the teams we played in the past to where they're below 500. They're not as scrappy as that. They're not built that way to try to just scrap themselves out of a pit against the Suns. And I think they just didn't know what to do in the end. And you have to go to KD, you have to go to Durant, and you have to go to Harden, but it's not the same. If they can't make their shots, ISO ball, it's over.
Matthew, I got to ask.
Matthew, I got to ask 16 games in a row. 16. What does this win streak mean to you?
What it means to me, it means a lot, but it doesn't mean anything. Honestly, to tell you the truth, it's awesome. 16 games in a row. No respect still for the Suns. It means a lot, of course, for the city of Phoenix and the Suns fans, but it doesn't mean anything until playoff time. And I'm not trying to be like just a jerk or like be honest about this, but it's just It's awesome, but will it mean anything in the playoffs? Yes, for us it will because we know this team can perform in the playoffs. But of course, you're gonna have the haters out there like 16 games. Well, can they get it done in the playoffs? That's what's gonna be the next thing for the Suns. Is like after this streak is over, and hopefully they can go to 25, 26 games in a row. It's like can they perform in the playoffs and bring themselves back to the finals? And that's the one thing I'm most worried about. But right now, the team's looking great. It's still early in the season. We'll see how this goes. But right now, I'm super pumped. It just doesn't mean too much. Do you know what I mean? Is that bad to say? I mean, was that
No,
very negative or
it's
what?
your point of view, and it might be wrong, but I mean, because to me this win streak means a lot. It means that everything that we've wanted to see in Phoenix Suns basketball, especially when relative to a regular season, is coming to fruition. All of the things that we thought about this team coming into the 2021-22 season were correct, at least through 20 games in the season.
Yeah.
And what do we always say? 20 games is kind of, who you are by that time. And this team has shown exactly who they are through this time. And you're right. It doesn't matter, okay, until the playoffs. It doesn't truly matter. But when we talk about winning 16 games, when we talk about a team that has the second most consecutive wins in Phoenix Suns history, we've had a front row seat to something historic. And that does matter because someday we're going to go look back on this team and we're going to reference that 16-game win streak and maybe 17, 18. Who knows how long it's going to go. And we're going to enjoy what we've witnessed. Now, again, you're right. It truly doesn't matter and isn't real, like confidence. It isn't real until the actual playoffs begin. But that being said, it's been fun to witness a team that just clicks the way that they do, in the manner that they do, and the way that they carry out their business. I remember those 05 or 06, 07 Suns teams. Those teams are teams that just blow you out of the fucking arena. And it's the different ways that this Phoenix Suns can win. There's so many different ways that they can beat you. That has been a pleasure to watch. And again, I love how this team is playing right now. And this win streak means a lot because we know that this team is good. Yeah, I mean, we literally beat the fucking Knicks in the Garden last night, and no one really talked about it. Now we beat the Nets, another East Coast darling. No one really talks about it, and that's okay. I stayed up last night. I watched SportsCenter. I'm waiting for the highlight. I'm watching the lead. They're going all through all the players, all the stories. No mention about the Suns and their 15-game win streak. They finally showed it. They showed Devin Booker make 2 baskets, and then I'm sure my audio sucks right now. And then they showed a bunch of God, who was it on the other team? I don't remember. But they don't give us our credit. And you know what? Let's go.
Let's go. Yeah, they don't, but I'm not worried. That's one thing. Just like 16-game win streaks, and the media making a big deal of anything the Suns do. It's awesome, but in the end, it doesn't mean much unless you win the championship. So I think this team's ready, of course, to be that team that can go in the playoffs and make a long run. But right now, it's just they're clicking on all cylinders, and they're beating the team they're supposed to beat. They beat the Nets and then the Warriors next game. If they win that one, it means a lot. But still, to me, I want to be a finals champion. That's it.
Jam Star of the Game.
All right, Matthew, well, let's talk about Jam Star of the Game. Okay, let's talk about it. Who are you going to give it to in this one? Are you going to break? Are you going to give it to Monty Williams? I know a lot of the Jamsters were calling for that in the last podcast. And, Monty has done a really good job managing this team. Is he going to get your Jam Star? Let me know who you got in the chat. All of the different Jamsters are watching. Everyone's giving it to Mikhail. Much props to Mikhail. Mikhail. Definitely found that Molly in Vegas. Mikhail. The sticky bandit Mikhail. So are you giving it to Mikhail Bridges? Or are you giving it to Devin Booker, who scored 30 points?
I'm going to give it to Mikhail. The 6 steals in the first half it's great. And then someone brought up, too, when Book lost the ball and then Mikhail gathered, it rambled through a pit of people on the floor and just made the lay-in. That's the aggressiveness. That's like the we don't give a fuck thing that he's talking about the media, everybody else. Like the way he took that ball against everybody in the paint and just laid it up. Like, that's just Mikhail now. He doesn't care. It's that edge he has now this year that is a difference maker, and he's definitely a Jam Star tonight for me.
And I agree with you. It's got to be Mikhail, but I am going to give some love to Devin Booker, okay? Devin Booker, back-to-back 30-point games in Madison Square Garden against the Nets. those games that matter very, very much to this Phoenix Suns team. He set the pace early, 16 points in the first half. It was a Devin Booker game to begin. And when you have the defensive prowess of Mikal Bridges, good things are going to help, great things are going to happen for your team. And that's what we saw tonight. We saw another victory for your Phoenix Suns, 16 in a row. And now we get ready for the Tuesday game. And that's going to be when the Suns play against the Warriors, Matthew. Tell me your thoughts on the Warriors.
Well, I mean, it's a team that we had to play. I mean, it's a team that, honestly, if you're talking about what we're waiting for the Suns to do this year, the 16-game win streak, where I'm still not satisfied to beat this team, it's going to be something we can we can have a parade for, right, John?
Yeah, this is much watch basketball. I mean, this is what it's about. The two best teams in the NBA squaring off in Phoenix on Tuesday night. The fun thing about that, Jamsters, is we'll both be, well, back to our normal schedules, if you will. I know Matthew will be in Phoenix. God knows where I'll be. But we will be coming to you for an entire hour of Phoenix Suns basketball post-game podcast
Yes.
shit. We are
Full
going to
hour.
be coming to you. Yeah, full hour. You know, we appreciate everybody who's been watching us last night and tonight. You know, as luck would have it, of course, we go to Vegas for my daughter, your niece's 21st birthday. And the 2 nights that we're here, 2 nights where the Suns play the New York Knicks and the Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah.
But we are still committed to provide you some fun Phoenix Suns content. So guess what? That's what we've done. But we'll be back to a full hour this upcoming Tuesday when the Suns play those Warriors, man. But 16 in a row.
Yeah.
I mean, think about that. Enjoy that. You got that. You got the Cardinals playing great. You got fucking people behind me being all loud. I'm
got
sure
the Cowboys
it's a
losing.
shit show. Yeah, fuck the Cowboys. You got Ohio State losing. That's kind of fun.
Yeah.
You got Notre Dame kicking the shit out of Stanford right now. So, but you know what, Suns fans, it's a great time to be a Suns fan, and we appreciate you hanging out with us. I'm gonna hop back into Hennessy's Tavern right here. I'm gonna go rejoin Matthew, rejoin the group, and have some celebratory beers on this beautiful evening. Matthew, got anything else for the Jamsons before we get out of here?
No, just everybody. Let's do this. Ready? Can you see them? Go home and love your family, everybody.
There's your family right there. And again, remember, subscribe, rate, review, hit the thumbs up, do all that fun stuff. Take care, Suns fans. We'll see you on Tuesday.